Hello and welcome to episode 7 of the Meelas and Abu Dhabi Wargaming podcast. The Meelas podcast is hosted by me, Simon, and alongside me, as ever, is my co-host Ibrahim, and we are joined again today by Adam. Salam alaikum, Johnny.
Alaikum salam.
Taking our banter somewhere between amusement and disdain are the four cats of the Meelas, of whom Megatron is sitting on Adam, getting a scratch right now. Casper is sitting between myself and Ibrahim, just chilling on some cushions. Nala is looking out of the window, and Cinder is sitting on a chair asleep that we usually use for painting. So that's the Four Cats update for us. This week, we will be talking about what got played at the Meelas, what's been happening on the hobby table, and then for our main topic, something I think every wargamer runs into sooner or later, which is hobby burnout. Because sometimes you can love the games, the models, the setting, and the people, but still look at the pile of boxes, unfinished armies, new releases, rules updates, and think, why does my fun thing suddenly feel like homework? So, we have our karak and our Arabic coffee. Let's get into our usual segment with what got played at the Meelas. Ibrahim, what have you been up to?
Me and Ahmed, as always, starting new games. We've had Halo Flashpoint in its box for a very long time. I think it's been like more than 4 months maybe now. We gave it a shot, and we played a little demo just to learn the game, and then we played a full game. It was really fun, bit board gamey, but there's a lot of potential in it. It felt like playing Halo. Like for a war game to have respawns was weird, but it was also fun because you didn't feel bad about your guys dying because they're just gonna come back like literally the next turn or during the same turn. So that was really fun to see and play. It was a D8 system, which was also new to me. The dice do not roll.
You've not rolled a lot of D8s in your life.
Literally, the dice does not roll.
Drop it.
You roll?
And
that's it. Oh, you roll the 2, you're going to roll 2 for the next 7 times. So that's...
Just shake a dice in your hand, you know?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like usually any other dice, you just roll it and it will roll, you know? But for D8s, it did not roll. So in Halo Flashpoint, every army has a special order and they can do different things. For example, the ODSTs, they would have their special orders to remove any model and then put them anywhere on the table, which is basically what ODSTs are. They're held divers. They jump from space.
So trying to keep to the theme of the faction.
Exactly.
Basically.
Yeah. And that was really fun.
Yeah.
The weird thing about it is also the movement. It's like cube-based.
Because your board is a large grid, essentially.
Exactly. And there's a maximum to how many models is on one grid, which is 4, which is fine. Because Ahmed was playing the Elites, Sanghili, which were like 4 models. And I was playing the ODSTs, which were like 6 models. Which was fun. Then we also played a little demo.
Yeah, we played a demo. It was very board gamey, but very fun still. It felt very Halo. Like the whole game mechanic was supporting Halo as it is, and it got to a point where we all sort of got into a melee brawl right in the middle square, and it felt very Halo. Because, you know, if anyone who's played Halo multiplayer, you shooting, go, and you see each other, you smack each other, and then the shields are down, and you keep firing. That was very much like that.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was nice to see that when you're throwing dice, depending on the situation you were in, you could get additional dice into your roll.
Yes.
So, for instance, if there was a guy supporting you and you're in melee, you get an additional dice. Every time we rolled off, it was against each other, and we would see how many dice. So it was a fun system, very board gamey, as you said, but for what it was, keeping with the Halo theme, it did feel like Halo. It didn't feel like it diverted too away from the source material, which is a good thing.
Yep.
You know, we all know what Halo is. A lot of us grew up playing it, and it was nice to feel like we were playing Halo, but on a tabletop.
I'd recommend Halo Flashpoint. Very easy to learn, very easy to play. Does not take long.
Adam, what have you been playing recently?
Oh, well, what have I been losing recently?
I don't know, Adam. Who have you been losing recently to?
Well, Simon, as you know, we did play Heresy.
A couple of times, in fact.
A couple of times, yeah. We played Zone Mortalis twice. Iron Hands versus the Blood Angels. So,
How did you find those games?
Fun. I mean, the first game we were trying out the new mission pack that we didn't get to play because we've only ever played once. The great thing about Zone Mortalis is everything's very thematic with how you lay out your map. So we basically put a kill zone in the middle, corridors on the left and right, and then we tried to go at each other from there. I deployed nicely and evenly, as it's very difficult and to guess what your opponent's going to do. And Simon decided to, you know what, I'm going to place some guys in the middle and the rest of my elites, Terminators, all on one side. And I'm just there like, great. So my new Terminators barely got to do anything, actually.
I did a classic overload down one side because with the objectives where they were, it didn't really matter so much which side you were on. So I thought, let's just go down one side. And so your new Assault Terminators you just painted up, your Hammer and Storm Shield guys, just spent 4 turns walking through corridors, and by the time they got anywhere close to the middle, I just reacted away, and they didn't get to do anything other than get shot a couple of times.
Yeah, and survive that rank game.
That was kind of our fault for those corridors. The way we'd set it up, it wasn't conducive to getting into close combat very quickly, which as Blood Angels, that didn't help me either. But overall, it was an interesting little thematic way of doing it. I think our second table we did was much more interesting.
Yes, I mean, we decided to go for... So Ibrahim collects Solar Auxiliary, and he has a bunch of about 10 tanks. So we decided to make a tank bay. Yeah. So we had a bunch of tanks in the middle with quite open space, but with the tanks as cover, and then a corridor on the left-hand side. So with Zone of Metallis, you need to open the doors with your intelligence checks, so on and so forth. So there was an element of, okay, if I can open the door, great, you can get in and you can claim that objective. But then there was one area where it was a shooting corridor and the other area where it was a bit more closed off and so on and so forth. So that game was a lot more interesting. Your twin plasma...
So the Castroferum Dreadnought, the old box naught, with Gravis plasma cannon ×2. It's basically unquestionably the best weapon if you want to get rid of infantry because of the breaching, and dreadnoughts now seem to work best when they've got 2 of the same weapon, so they are doubly as good at the particular job they're doing. That seems to be the current meta, and I thought, let's get a little box naught and make him a little gun platform.
And he fired twice into my new Assault Terminators, the same ones which have been recently painted up. And I think it was 8 hits, because then he rolled about 6 6s. And then I was like,
did
great.
A lot of breaches.
Yeah, it was... that breaching really killed half the squad. They ran away. And then after turn 3, they were off the board. So
turn 2, they were off. Hit the edge and gone.
Yep, so Assault Terminators have done absolutely nothing in the last 2 games.
Yep.
I think at one point, your Apothecary was the MVP.
Oh, absolutely.
He passed every single roll that he required. Intelligence check on the door, on the dot.
Yeah, I needed an 8, I got an 8.
And then I had my Castellaxes with Suppressive 2, by the way. So they've been firing at his tactical squad who was on the objective for about 3 turns. He passed a number of Suppressive 2 tests, as well as the general status check to see if they would have to be routed, and a bunch of other statuses. So I think we worked out there was about 20 points worth of...
Yeah, they sat on that objective for the whole game, 5 turns, getting 2 points a turn plus 2 points for line. So they got 20 points, which is almost half my points. And every time they needed to pass a status check, they did. 5s, 7s, 8s, whatever it happened to be. Thankfully, that Apothecary was combat veteran, and he was with that squad for that reason, just to buff that squad, and he did it masterfully, and that won me the game.
See, I guess Flesh is in last week.
Yeah. Yeah, there was the 2 Heresy games, 2 losses straight in a bounce, and then me and Simon got to try some Blood Bowl, a nice tutorial game for myself. It was the ogres that I mentioned previously that Ibrahim kindly gifted to me, which I thank you, which I do need to get painted up as well.
That's your leaving present. You haven't gone yet.
Well, in 20 years' time or 40 years' time. So yeah, we played a nice tutorial game for Blood Bowl. I really enjoyed it. I loved the tactics involved. It was very sporty. I did understand it, and obviously we got a Warhammer element towards it. And I was telling people that as well. I was like, oh yeah, this is... I could trying to explain what Blood Bowl is like to
Warhammer and it's American football all at once. And it's brilliant.
Yeah, it's brilliant. But it was just one of those games where I think Simon's mentioned previously to me that Ogres is not exactly a first army to sort of start with. You have a few more rules you had to take into consideration and remember. For instance, Bonehead on the Ogres itself, that means you have to roll a 2+ to be able to do any actions. If you get a 1, then they're a Bonehead and they can't do any action. So it was a good game, apart from the fact I hit about, I don't know how many ones I got.
I don't even want to remember, because of the 4 ogres you had, every turn at least one of them, if not 2 of them, had boneheaded and were just, I don't know, picking their noses instead of running around and punching people. And it wasn't one of those confirmation bias, surely you haven't rolled that many ones. No. He boneheaded on like 50% of the rolls he needed to make. It's insane.
It's in theme. It's just what
I think the best one was, it was a ogre versus 1 Skaven. I did the most logical tactic. It's because it's 3 dice against 1. I'm not going to get 3 ones. Anyway, I rolled and I got 3 ones.
Yeah.
And it was one of those where it took you 1 second to grasp what just happened, because I was looking at 3 skulls. That's a bad thing. Wait a minute.
That's a bad thing for you.
Absorbing the trauma.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, your turn. I mean, the first half was scrappy. It was 0-0. And then the second half, Simon was able to it just went his way in the end. He scored 2 goals quite quickly, because I, for instance, defended in a specific way where I was expecting to get the ball and I didn't get the ball. So it is what it is, but it was good fun game.
Yeah. But I think it shows the strength of a game like Blood Bowl in that by the end of that, by the second half, in fact, you were playing it like a normal game. It wasn't that I was still teaching you. It was just a little bit of advice of how to play, not the actual steps you needed to take.
I would say the main thing would be the tactics you need to get your head around, like how you set up. There are tactics online. How I would set up would be very important in the next game.
Ogres and their nobblers, they break a lot of the rules of Blood Bowl by having extra things on top that's not standard. So you have to kind of learn what the standard is and then immediately break it. So that's why I wouldn't recommend them as a starting team. But if you can use ogres and nobblers, you could use anything.
I think that's just a general thing about GW's specialist games. They're really good at making you feel in universe. Like, honestly, I can't wait to try out Blood Bowl and see the similarities of it with Necromunda.
I mean, Necromunda's been being played in the class. Yeah.
Ahmed played Roman, and I also played Roman. It was really fun. A lot of funny stuff kept happening. Ahmed and Roman started off the campaign with Ahmed's Corpse Grinders versus Roman's Dilak. Roman won. It's a very deep campaign system. It'll be fun to see how it progresses and evolves. So looking forward to playing some games and leveling up my gang. I think you guys as well are...
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it getting going, because it's on the same style as Blood Bowl in terms of how the campaign league, etc. goes. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the personalities develop and the events that point towards the skills. Something definitely I'm looking forward to doing with that Escher gang.
So any games that you've played, Simon?
I had a 3rd Heresy game. Meelas was full of Heresy.
Yes.
This weekend.
It's very heretical.
I got my 3K of Blood Angels against Levi's Thousand Sons, which in 2nd edition was my army. But now this is the first time I've played against them, and it was a really good fun game. I enjoyed playing with Levi. Managed to come out on the winning side somehow. So that's 3 Heresy games in the week and 3 victories, which has never happened in my life. So all good for that.
Yeah, the game looked balanced. It was...
I think everything hinged on 1 failed charge from Levi's side. He'd set up for Inducti to charge one of my squads that was holding an objective so that his tactical squad could claim it. So when he rolled a double 1 for that Inducti charge, it meant his tactical squad had to charge instead. And that ruined the whole points gathering for him. It was really cool to feel the Thousand Sons being effective when they weren't in 2nd at all. It was very, very situational, their psychic powers, whereas now the psychic powers are a lot more usable, really powerful, and like feeling that was very cool as well. But yeah, it was a good game with Levi, and I enjoyed it very much.
Nice.
So it's not just games that get played at the Meelas, of course. We also have our hobby tables that are full of excitement and action. Plus, we launched our Blanchitsu challenge last week. Ibrahim, what have you been up to, both for hobby and for the John Blanche tribute?
So for the Blanche tribute would be my Cawdor Redemptionist Priest. He's a mishmash of different Cawdor models, candles, parchment, a weird servo skull floating beside him that took half the glue and green stuff and tape to keep steady on that model. It was really fun to paint the checkers, the flames that I eventually accidentally covered in pigment, so now you can't see them anyway.
They're there. We know they're there. They're just
spiritually, that was my model. I am planning on doing more. I have something in mind coming up for another model that will also be for my Cawdor. I think my Cawdor in general will be Blanchitsu-ized because I love doing that, and it's been really fun going back to washing models with oils. Also, I'm painting my Chaos Dwarfs for Blood Bowl. I saw these models ages ago when they got released first, and since then I was always eyeing them. I remember talking to Baden maybe 7 months ago, and I was asking him about the game and stuff, because I just saw Chaos Dwarfs. I was like,
because after like episode 1 of the Meelas, when we talked about Blood Bowl, within 10 minutes of us finishing the podcast, you were asking me, so Chaos Dwarfs, they're a thing in Blood Bowl.
Yeah. Because I remember them. I remember the models because they are my favorite Chaos Dwarves that GW made. I mean, the current ones. I think Adam was painting his Iron Hands.
Yeah. I'm knee deep in dry brushing steel, black paint. Instead of a full black scheme, it's black shoulder pads with some black bits and bobs here or there with a lot of dabbing of metal. The main body part is generally steel. So very Iron Warriors based without the hazard stripes, basically. I'm really enjoying the scheme. I've just also finished my Master of Signals, which was utilizing the Astral Claws Forge Father, I believe, and kit bashing him with some additional weapons and sort of a makeshift reader thing that he's looking at, but is actually technically upside down if you actually look at the model from the other side, but you don't really see it from the side that when you're looking at the model.
Yeah, technically it's an upside down augury scanner, I think, but when you add it to the antenna you put on the backpack, you added the Nuncio Vox bit and a couple of other sticky up antennas. I think that's a really cool kit bash.
Yeah.
Very, very Iron Handsy, and also stands out enough to say he is a little character who does something.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that he looks slightly different. He is a Master of Signals, is technically a commander. You want something different on the tabletop to help, like you say, stand it out. So yeah, it's a good little model, and it was good fun painting it as well. I think I finished that in a day, and like I said, these after doing some Mechanicum, who are easy-ish, but they're quite small and fiddly. This army is so much more better to paint. So
yeah, it was the same experience with my Iron Warriors. Your scheme is exactly the same as I did for my Iron Warriors in first edition, Horus Heresy.
When we get up army side by side, they don't look very different. And obviously, I've only just started Iron Hands, and you might have been listening. Oh, has he already painted up 1,500 points of Zomatalis material? I haven't. I've actually just using Ibrahim's Iron Warriors because they look so similar.
Was that in case your wife is listening, just to be like, you've done how big an army? No, he's borrowing like 2/3 of it. It's fine.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Majority of it was Ibrahim's. Anyway, Simon, moving on from me, so my wife doesn't kill me.
Moving swiftly on. I finished my Grey Slayers. I pushed through to get them done. So that's all but one model left for my Space Wolves, my 3,000 point force. I just have the Storm Eagle to do now, which is the army centerpiece, because it's a massive flying truck, as my son likes to call it. And yeah, I'm going to work my way through that until it's done. And then also get my Sister of Battle, Canoness Viridian, Blanchitsuified to the best of my abilities, rather than just painting the cover art that she's featured on, the original Sisters of Battle Codex. I want to try and mess around and make it look like one of his sketches rather than one of his full paintings. So I'm going to see how I can kind of dirty it up, keep it in those palettes, and just use the Blanchitsu volume colors to see what I can do with it and make it completely different from my usual painting style, which is the heavy metal style, very 90s, very bright, ideally very clean. I want to see how like gunky and grimy I can get it, and dark, while still feeling like a Blanchitsu style model.
Can't wait to see how you come up with it.
Yeah.
It's gonna look awesome.
See how many attempts it
I'm
takes.
glad you were able to get those Grey Slayers done as well.
Yeah.
You've been putting them off for a very long time.
Well, it's because I had 25 of them in total to do. And that was after 10 tacticals and 10 veteran tacticals. So that's 45 basic Space Marines, which is a lot to do. And I just couldn't face doing 15 of them in the middle after having done 10 of this type, 10 of that type. And so I think the hump I have to get over when I'm painting is once I've put the base coat colors on and it looks a bit bad. It looks a bit childish. It looks a bit underdeveloped. And I have to go, no, I will get there once the washes go on. Suddenly it will start to come to life. And I have to get to that point, and I force myself to get there. And just with that many of them, it was just such a pain to go through. I was kind of splitting them into 3 at a time and then taking a 10-minute break to do something else and watch YouTube or scroll or reel or something. And it just slowly got done. But once I was into the washing stage and started to highlight, it was a real production line of this looks so much better already that I was enthusiastic to do it once I got to that point.
Yeah. You have to trust the process sometimes.
Yeah. Force myself to get through the process.
Yeah, so that's usually the most annoying part. But once you get to that last push, that's when it's gonna be worth it.
Yeah, and I laid them out with the rest of the army, and they looked pretty cohesive, despite all being different and marked different. So yeah, once I've finished this Storm Eagle, I'll be looking forward to actually having a game with them. Built it, painted it, ready to go.
Nice.
That's good.
No, I look forward to seeing you table Adam with them very soon.
Yeah, maybe I should just quit. No, I'll get some more Iron Hands done.
Yeah.
Borrow a bunch more Iron Warriors.
Just play Iron Warriors at this point.
Yeah, no, I got a few bits. Like you say, I think once you get over that hump, I mean, washers do help. Like, I'm not actually doing any washers in my current Iron Hands.
You're not, are you?
Yeah.
Which is, but I'm because it's sort of a dry brush with a layered silver on top of it. It's like the exact opposite reason that Silent is having right now with his Space Wolves. Where he's, no, 10 of these. I'm like, oh, great, I just black dry brush. Oh, there's 10 done.
Yeah, that's the dangerous part about painting armies in that scheme. It's so easy and it's really addictive because you can finish a whole army in 2 weeks, maybe 3. And 3k points maybe.
The longest period of this army is obviously I mentioned about the kit bash, but obviously I'm using the decals because decals help a miniature pop. I'd never really dealt with decals. I started doing it with Mechanicum, but now I'm really doing it with these guys. And
Warhammer without iconography doesn't look right. So the unit can look fine before you put the decals on, and then suddenly the symbology comes into it, which is half of Warhammer is basically fascist sedation symbols. And without putting those on your models, it just doesn't pop properly. And so you go, okay, this is a unit before, but then you add those logos and suddenly this is a Warhammer unit. And it really makes it at the final step.
I think decals in general just add a lot of personality.
Yes, exactly. And you would need them in games such as Heresy. When I first went into the Iron Hands, I spent a bit of time sort of just building it up, but I didn't really have any specific clan. So Iron Hands are very clan-esque, but then I think after reading the Black Books, and this is what I highly recommend to anyone who wants to get into Heresy, the Black Books are currently online for free from Warhammer communities, and they give you the opportunity to look at different schemes and how you want to build it, or any other clans, companies, whatever. And I've now gone down the clan Morrigal, who have red shoulder pads, and I now know what the symbol is, and I've gone into a bit of detail about the history. I would 100% recommend looking at the Black Books because they do give you schemes and help massively.
Yeah, I remember using one of them for my World Eaters, and I think it was either the Black Books where they specifically mentioned that the crossed chains means that they won in the arena where they fight each other.
Yeah, and you've put the theme towards your army and so on and so
Yeah.
forth, which is good. And they look beautiful. Like,
Yeah, it was really fun to do.
so, anything else happening in the hobby table? I believe that we had.
Oh, Zahin and Adam are also doing the Blanchitsu challenge. I think Zahin is doing Black Templars, and Andrew is doing
Something chaosified, I think.
nice.
Maybe a cultist or something. I'm not entirely sure. We'll see that. I think he's got kit bash ideas.
Oh, nice.
No, I'm looking forward to seeing them when they get done.
And we also had a newcomer to the Meelas,
Oh, yeah.
Adian,
Adian.
who was doing his navigator model as well, doing some really nice work on that.
Oh yeah, it was a beautiful model. It was really nicely painted. They did it like in an afternoon, so it was incredible. Really good.
Yeah, he kind of put down some of the base colors, but just came to the Meelas for the first time, brought it with him, pulled up a chair while we were just gaming constantly all day.
He was saying that Meelas is perfect for him because his current life situation with work and so on, he's super busy, so he can just come into the Meelas and paint. And this works perfectly for him.
Alhamdulillah.
So
Glad to have him here.
Nice to see him, yeah. Nice to see him around.
Always good to expand the Meelas.
Yes.
So I wanted to get on to our main topic for the day, which is hobby burnout. Now, I think that's something we've all experienced at some point in our journeys, maybe even be experiencing it currently. We just want to go through and look at what it is, what causes it, how to spot it, how to beat it, because this is a hobby that we all love and enjoy doing, and sometimes it doesn't feel like that. Gentlemen, have you had a point in your hobby careers where it started to feel less like fun and more like an obligation?
Plenty of time, Simon. I think when you have so much plastic in front of you and you're just there like, can I be bothered to get through all of this? And I think I was starting to get it with the Mechanicum a little bit. I was doing a lot of the same paint schemes and so on and so forth. They were taking a bit of time to do, and a lot of life was getting in the way of them, and I just didn't have the time myself. And I was sort of moving away from painting them and more gaming because it was just something different. Life got in the way, other things got in the way. I don't know about yourself, Ibrahim, but
I was trying to analyze this, looking inwards when you mentioned this topic, and I was like, okay, what made me stop? Like, what was the point that made me like, okay, this army is, I'm not feeling it anymore. And I think it was just, I kind of gave up on the GW systems in general, because they felt like I'm playing video games again. Like the reason I quit World of Warcraft was because there's a new patch, everything I did got deleted. So when a new edition comes out, I have to relearn the whole thing. That kind of turned me off playing Heresy, and it made me stop playing 40k. I played it, like I forced myself to play it, but I was just doing it because I felt burnt out.
We've definitely got a different range of the ways it happens to us. See, for me, it's more too many ideas. Like, I want to do this and this and this and this and this, and I can't do them all. And then you have to settle with the one that you've got, and then kind of get a bit sad about that. But there's only so much time. There's only so much money. And so that's for me when it's kind of an overflow of creativity, but not enough output, is when I kind of get burnt out on it and need to do something else.
I think I agree on that, because it can be really overwhelming having all of those armies that you want to do, all of those different, nowadays, different games I want to play. And I'm the kind of person that I would always love to play a game with fully painted models. I don't like to have my models not painted.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm playing against someone that doesn't have a fully painted army, that's fine. It's up to them. But I like to have mine painted. And the problem with that is that whenever you want to try a new game, you have to paint a full army. I think it's something we all go through. The amount of cool miniatures out there is just, it's too much.
it's too overwhelming.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what it is for each of us. So I think the things that can cause it, between just the three of us sitting here, it's your pile of shame, it's the pressure to paint, either that you put on yourself or that externally from a new edition, a new campaign, a new event, a new challenge. Fatigue in the rules, learning new ones, updating ones, new games. It's having a little identity crisis with what army you're playing, what game you're playing even. Comparing yourself also to others. Somebody's amazingly painted army, somebody who paints faster or better or both, that suddenly makes you feel like your army is not good enough. Or somebody writes lots of background for theirs and you don't. And you kind of have that external pressure. And sometimes life gets in the way. Current events, personal events. Sometimes you just don't get any time and you're trying to fit it in. Sometimes you have too much time and you're not doing anything else. And all of a sudden, the fun side of things becomes not fun. And that's the reason why we do this hobby, is for fun. So there's so many things that are up to the individual what it could be. And we can all kind of identify and sympathize with at least one of those on that list, if not all of them, at some point in our journeys. But do you think that wargaming particularly suffers from that as a hobby?
Yes, and I'm going to talk about this point in the Heresy standpoint, because I know this is slightly different when you're talking about games like Infinity. When you're dealing with big army games, that means you have to build, which is, I hate building. Plastic is, I hate resin, I hate plastic. Unless it's very easy to build, it's not really my thing, especially when you're dealing with 20 tech frails, which are one of the worst models I've ever built, and they're very small and fidgety. Then having to paint them, basing them, like those tech frails I've primed, I've put a base on them, and that's it. I've not even bothered looking at painting them. And when you're thinking about that, I mean, I've got 60 tech frails in total. It's, I guess, is what they're trying to move with 40k, is less units, a bit more elitist vibe. Your Imperial Guard will be the same amount of units as your Space Marines. Not maybe not exactly, but you know, there's definitely a difference between militia and Heresy versus a Legion's army. And I think for army-based games, that is a massive contributing factor. I think Ibrahim, Infinity, how many models per? I know you have a lot, but how many models per?
So for one game, you can have up to 15. That's the max.
Yes. So I would say, comparing when you're looking at the hobby itself for skirmish point games, I know there's a lot more detail, but
So it really depends. For Heresy, first edition, I painted maybe 120 Iron Warriors, I think. It's insane. Like from Iron War, my World Eaters were also around 100, and that's just second edition. And then preparing for third, I had 100 Solar Auxilia, beside the 10 tanks. Between those three, I painted 100 Krieg. I painted around 80 Necrons.
you have not done any burnout in between all of that.
No.
Wow.
Imagine that. Okay, I'm gonna stop fixing. But basically, painting huge armies was never a problem for me. Like, I could go through them like nothing.
Was never a problem.
Was never a problem. Until I don't know, I got fatigue. Like, not fatigue from the miniatures. I love them still. I still love building. I love mass painting. But I need like a purpose now. Like, I realize the older I am, the more I'm trying to I value my time more. And I mean, I used to be like, I would spend 12 hours a day just going through stuff, which was fun. But at the end, most of these armies never saw the table. Necrons never saw the table. For the majority of the armies I painted, they never saw the table.
Your Solar Auxilia tanks saw the battlefield by being
Yeah.
terrain for our
By
Heresy
proxy.
game.
I think I'm using your Iron Warriors more
Yes.
for my Iron Hands.
Yeah, I only played my Iron Warriors literally once, maybe twice, maybe. I don't know why. Overall, I think it's about how hyped you are about the game, and now I think it's more about who's willing to play these games. Like, if there is a game that no one is gonna be playing, I'm not gonna paint an army for that.
Yeah, you're hyped by other people's hype for something.
Sometimes, yeah.
So how do you spot your own signs of hobby burnout? When do you know you're like, I'm burnt out over this for whatever reason? How do you spot that in yourself? What do you notice?
When I feel like I can't paint this model, like when I'm dreading the thought of painting, that's when I know that's okay.
Yeah,
This is-
it's when you're I have a setup, or when I am in the mood for painting, and I'm doing this at certain times every day or certain times within the week. But then, 1 week I'm like, oh, can I be bothered? Or coming to the Meelas and being like, I just want to play games, or just want to do bits and other bobs, and I just want to chill instead of doing my painting. And I think at one point I had my guys, I was bringing them, but I wasn't painting them. I was sort of just bringing them for the sake of bringing them, and then just socializing, maybe doing a bit here and there. But when compared to other times in the Meelas where I can get a whole 6 units done, for instance.
Yeah.
And I think
it's that dread or even guilt of, oh, I should do this, but I don't want to, and oh, I have to, or you like put that pressure on yourself, and you don't have it in you to do it for whatever reason. Another one is buying stuff that you don't build. I think that's a burnout thing as well. It's the next thing. I don't want to do this, but I'll do something else.
Yeah.
And suddenly you've got another project that then adds to your pile of shame, pile of potential.
Oh, it's a shame. It's yeah.
you do have, the amount of projects that some of us do have.
Because you can get hyped by another project, but by the time it arrives, you're into the point of, and I've got to do all this all over again, and I've still got the one I haven't done yet.
Yeah. But if for me it's been, I get hyped by the potential of campaigns, that there will be a progressive missions or gameplay that really that's gonna hype me. That's how you get me. Like that's.
You've been doing that with Necromunda.
Yeah.
And I've sort of recently been doing that with the Heresy campaign that Baden has put together. Hence the Meelas Games, because
that was going to be my next question, in fact. So,
Sorry.
how do you, which you've just touched on, Ibrahim, but how do you beat it when you get to that point and you don't want to paint, you don't want to play, maybe you don't want to go and roll dice with your friends because you don't want to game, or you don't want to engage with the hobby at all? What do you do to freshen it up? Because the answer is not tough it out, quote, man up, go big, go home. That's not the way to get through, when you're not in the best place. So what do you do to cure that?
Whenever I feel that, I would paint something out of scale, like something completely I'm not used to. Be it Imperialis, Knights. You either go really big or you go really small, but you just don't paint what you're already painting. Not in a sense that you paint a whole army. One thing I used to do, and I was really proud of, but I don't do anymore, is that I would not build a model or anything until I finish what is on my table. So if it's on my table, nothing moves. I don't open any single box until whatever is in front of me is done. And sometimes I will literally go through that just because I want to paint the thing after.
Oh, see, I wouldn't trust myself for that. I'd just move it off the table and go, oh, it's not on the table now. Pick up something else.
Yeah.
I do that now, and I don't like it. But that's honestly, you asked how did I not burn out through all of those, is because I was always looking forward to the next thing. Because I was always getting hyped about the next project I'll do.
I think you have, the last few months you've sort of been saying, I'll be working on this, and then you'll change it up to something else, which then you'll start working on. And I thought that was really smart, because I never really did that before. But since from going from Mechanicum back to Iron Hands, that sort of got me the love of painting again.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sort of there like, oh, I can't wait to get my Mechanicum back, because then I would love to start painting them up again. Yeah. So it's sort of changing it up, I think, definitely does help.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not telling people to buy 3 armies.
I am. No, I am.
Paint.
But that's how he ends every show.
But for myself, that was obviously something I've recently had. I think playing more games, it sort of brings me back to the hobby. Lore, which sounds interesting, but I've been reading a lot of Iron Hands with lore, which isn't that much, but these books and stuff, and so on and so forth. I've Shattered Legions, finished Fulgrim, which
man loses head to play in 3 parts.
Yep.
Rest in peace. Literally, rest in peace.
Flesh is weak.
The flesh is weak.
But that sort of got me more hyped up for my Iron Hands. I finished Mechanicum, that got me hyped up for my Mechanicum. So that definitely does help. I mean, also just walking away from the hobby for a bit. I'm not saying forever, but taking a break. I've had times where I have a month off painting just to do other activities.
So how would you deal with burnout?
I think, first of all, is to not punish yourself for having that pile of shame. Like, to not continually beat yourself up over it, how many boxes you've got, how many drawers are filled, etc. Because it's there already. You can't do anything about it other than work your way through it.
Or buy more.
No, don't buy more. That's the whole point.
Yeah. Oh, oops.
It's not gonna. It's delayed or instant gratification does not fix it. It just makes it worse.
True.
So, for me, I think it's going back to the thing that you loved the first time. What made you excited about it? Now, as you said, that could be reading the lore and immersing yourself in it for a bit, and just getting the love of, I love this. I want to do this one again. It could be change the project, shrink it, change the goal. I don't want to paint 3,000 points. I just want 500 points for a skirmish game. Play games as well, because that will get you into the feel of your army, the way you want it, and go. Like my Zone Mortalis Blood Angels are half painted, because from my 3,000 point force, I take a few units, but add in a few other units just specific that I don't use in a 3K game. And when I put them down on the table, I think I should really paint those. They would look so much better as a full force again. And by playing them a couple of times, it's like, maybe I'll move them up my schedule to be a bit higher, so that next time that I do get to play Zone Mortalis, maybe they'll have got base coats on. Maybe they'll be looking a bit better, and that will make me happier and make me more likely to complete them.
Mm.
So change is as good as a rest. Do something else. Just pick a different part of the hobby that you like, whether it's the gaming, the lore, whatever it happens to be that you're not vibing with. Do something else.
I think one more could be joining a campaign, a league, or a tournament that's coming up. Like those things will incentivize you to paint more. For me, that's my go-to. Like now for Cawdor, like I finished the 17 models. I haven't finished 17 models in total the whole year, because I was trying to up my painting, so each model will take more. But for the Necromunda campaign, I was able to finish 17 models.
Whereas I'm the complete opposite.
Yeah.
My Escher are, let's say, 60% done. And then the thought of joining the league with them and finishing them in order to join the league just makes me go, can I play in 3 weeks' time, 4 weeks' time? Because I don't want to finish them. In as much fun as I'm sure playing with them will be, I'm dreading finishing them so they look proper on the table. I'm much like you in that I like all my miniatures to be fully painted, and if they're not, I find that a little bit embarrassing. Not for anybody else, as you have your own choices and methods and standards and stuff, but for me, I want them all to be painted. And so having an unpainted force, it doesn't force me to finish them, it just makes it worse for me.
I mean, would you guys ever just paint too? Because obviously both of you mentioned about getting them ready. Would you ever put something on the tabletop ready? For instance, I'm playing Mechanicum, silver, red, base colors. I would be happy to stick them on for a bit as a stopgap, but just my base lead belcher, put the red on, that's okay for now. And that will then incentivize me to finish them, because then they'll look better the following week when we do play them again. But I'll at least like to see the colors on there first, and that sort of helps it move forward.
Yeah, the bare plastic or metal, or just undercoated, I hate doing that.
Yeah.
So a couple of games recently, whether it's second ed 40k or our Zone Mortalis Heresy games, I've been using some bare metal, some primed, some, I painted the sergeant's armor, kind of, and I just don't like doing that. It doesn't feel right to me.
I felt the same way with Infinity. Like, I loved the models, I love painting them, but it takes so long to paint anything. Each model took me like maybe 30 hours just on one model, and that's like, at that rate, I'm not gonna finish the whole 15 models, even though, like, I know we say you're supposed to go through them faster, but I mean, it really depends on you. Like for my Infinity models, I think they have a lot of details, and that's like the project that I want to up my painting in. But for other factions, I'm trying to also stretch my range. Like for example, working more on the Chaos Dwarves with the trims being non-metallic metallics, but I'm compensating with that on the red, which is very base, just literally a primer, and not really working too hard on it. Same with the skin, I'm working a bit, not that hard on it, but like medium. So like you'll see the gold being the best, the skin being medium, and the red being the lesser quality. It still brings all the model together, but it, I don't feel burnt out from doing it because it's not gonna take 3 years to finish the 10 models or whatever.
Yeah. Adjusting the way you play, adjusting the way you paint, and the way you approach things to just freshen it up, change it up for yourself.
That's how you fix it. I'd also read the lore. I think, for me, that was the Heresy reason I kept pushing was the lore. Like, I went through the whole Siege of Terra while painting my World Eaters and Solar Auxiliary. And once yeah, I'm realizing that now that when I stopped listening to those, like when I finished them, that kind of when my hype went away as well.
I think that's something Heresy Hammer brought up, that Heresy as a game was having lots of impetus while Heresy books were still coming out kind of live. And now that the Heresy series is finished, it's kind of like, is it a current thing?
As you said, there's a lot of pressures from life, from the hobby itself. But I would always recommend people not to, this is a bit not really part of the podcast, but never compare yourself with others. Just compare yourself on how you were yesterday, and you'll keep on getting better. And that's the goal. And I mean, that's in everything you do. Yeah.
Life lessons from Ibrahim 101.
Accidental wisdom. That's it. That's it for the last 7 episodes. This is it.
Every 7 episodes, you can get life advice.
Yeah,
Just wait for episode 14. It's going to be a banger.
It's a blessings from Norgal.
That's very true.
See?
Too many Maggotkin, too many Death Guard, blessing from Nurgle.
Yeah.
So other than therapy, how does the Meelas help avoid you?
Well, we give therapy sessions every Saturday. Painting therapy sessions.
Honestly, it is a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's a group of guys who sit around, roll dice, have fun, paint, assist each other, and chat. And that in itself, that community, particularly somewhere as transient as the UAE, is very important to have friends who you do not work with that you can socialize with, hanging around on a regular basis. And I think that's one of the best things about the Meelas. We could be doing anything, but we just happen to be wargamers.
Yeah, I think having the Meelas as a community for advice, I mean, I go to you both for... I go to Ibrahim and go, oh, look at my nice little model. I think we were doing this yesterday. We were like, oh, look at this. Oh, yeah.
Just look at that.
Little kids running around with my new toys. Obviously, Simon, I go to, your painting style is very similar to what I like as well. So I do approach you because I think we're both similar in what we like in our army designs. I know that, Ibrahim, you approach Dragos because his painting style's immense and very talented as an individual, so you go to him because that you want to reflect that onto your Infinity models, which are more detailed, for instance.
I realized that was restricting me from finishing anything. Like it took me 2 months to finish 4 models, and I felt like, sure, they're looking better, but I don't want to just paint that level. That's why, like, I covered my powder in oils, and it was fun. It was really fun. Like, I remembered, this is why I used to paint a lot, because I like to do things bit dirty and grimy, and I don't really enjoy painting clean that much. And that was enough for me to go, I want to paint more Necromunda, because everything is dirty and grimy.
You found a nice medium where it is a smaller Necromunda, smaller amount of.
I mean, I say that playing the only Horde faction in Necromunda.
Yeah, 16 models is
still.
still.
But I think it's always good to have a middle ground. Don't make too high expectations of yourself and end up breaking your own expectations. That can lead to burnout.
If you're setting enormous goals of huge armies that are painted Golden Demon standard down to the last belt buckle, that's a surefire way of doing it. You can get there eventually if you break it into 500 points at a time or one squad at a time. You can get there, but don't try and climb the mountain in one go. I think that's a important way of doing it. Like my Space Wolves that I've been working on, sometimes it's been a slog. Sometimes I've put them down for a week and not touched them. Sometimes it's been more than a week. And other times I've moved over to, I'll paint this one Eldar Guardian, or I'll paint this one Lamenter, or I'll paint this one, extra Blood Angel Praetor or something in between working on the Space Wolves, just to freshen it up, and I can go back to it and think, right, next step. And you get there in the end. You don't have to force it.
That's an easy way to ruin anything.
Yeah.
Forcing yourself to do something you don't want or stopped liking.
And celebrating those little wins as well, as you just described. Oh, look what I just painted. And somebody goes, oh, cool. I love the kit bash. I love the shoulder pad. I love the eyes you've done. I love that color combination. That somebody else can give you that validation
Love your
that
eyes.
you haven't even thought about.
I love your eyes too.
It was just that I caught Adam's eyes when I was like, I love the eyes.
Cheeky wink in the middle of that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the Meelas, I've been using a lot of demoing, and that's been quite nice. It's helped with the burnout. It's kept me interested in hobbying, and I think I'm out. Demos I've now played is
You're the rank 1 demoer.
We played every game known to the Meelas.
I think literally every new game which is introduced in the Meelas, I'm sort of like, I haven't played BattleTech yet, and the Necromunda campaign.
I haven't played 2nd edition 40k either.
Yeah, we'll put that on the
agenda
soon. Next week.
I think you like 2nd edition a lot.
No, I think I would. Yeah, it's definitely on the agenda.
I really enjoyed it.
You have to remember, I need to play Necromunda.
Yes.
Still, and BattleTech. And I'll probably need to throw some Infinity there.
But there's the advice right there. Try something new.
Try something.
A new little game. And little being the optimal word.
Yep.
Dip your toe into something else, and you'll either love it and you'll be infused for a hobby again, or you'll go, that was nice, but actually I want to play my other guys and paint them up.
Sometimes it's also good to not make it too much a big investment.
Yeah.
So like Blood Bowl, Necromunda, you just need one box.
Yeah, a team, a game.
I mean, I'm excited to paint those ogres up, and they're not going to be a huge investment. I'm going to put an effort into it, but again, I'm just trying to think of a paint scheme right now.
You've got 4 ogres to paint, and you've got 12 tiny little green nobblers who are barely wearing a shirt and pants. So it's not actually that many decisions you have to make. It's not even that many brushstrokes you'll have to make even with 12 of them.
There are some Necromunda gangs you can have 3 models.
Oof.
Yeah, Spell Hunters. Literally just 3 models.
Might have a look into that.
I mean, I have them.
Starting a new army, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. I mean, they're basically the custodians of Necromunda. They're the biggest guys.
OP elites, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when the Spira gang broke the rules, and they were massively, massively OP, even with their low model count, and that you take one out and that suddenly 30% of the army's gone. But they were so unbeatable. There was the one with the wings, there was the massive, power fist one.
They literally remade the same old models. They're all inspired by the original models.
Yeah, the rich kids with the fancy gear coming down to the Spire to just play games.
Spoiled nobles running around, killing hobos. Necromunda.
Just playing a D&D game.
Yeah,
it's just murder hobos.
Yeah, that's basically it.
And small games, pickup games, intros and demos, little campaigns, just string games together. What happened?
Yeah.
Because going back to our Zone Mortalis games, the first game we used my dead Marine objectives. So we were obviously recovering Gene Seed. And then the second game, it was who can take control of this tank depot. you're more likely to remember the scenario and what happened rather than, oh, on turn 2, this happened. And turn 4, this happened. In a month, we'll still remember the tank depot battle, but we might not remember the generic one that we had 3 months before.
Yeah.
What was that Mechanicum Blood Angels game that we had, Adam? That first one where my Praetor went up to your Archmagos.
Oh, yeah.
Something was happening. I don't remember the board. I don't remember how we laid it out. I just remember one narrative moment from that. And I think being able to play those narrative games and put a story into them is actually more important than the dice rolls. It's more important than the tactics. It's what were the cool moments that happened.
I think that goes back to our last episode when we were talking about how you want the games to be memorable. You don't want to just, run through mission number 3 and then leave it without anything. And Burnout can be a result of playing unmemorable missions or sometimes games that you don't really enjoy. It will take you off the game. But I think the cool thing about our hobby is that there are so many game systems out there that it's hard to feel Burnout from specifically that, where you can just, okay, you didn't like this game, fine, you can try another one, then another, and another, and eventually you'd find what you like. You'd be able to identify what you like in games and then follow that, rather than just keep on, oh yeah, this sucked, okay, I just throw everything away and then quit the hobby. No, I mean, you could do that. But
That's one way of dealing with burnout.
yeah, that's one. Wouldn't recommend it.
I feel like missions and games with objectives that aren't just stand here.
Yeah.
That there's a narrative reason for them. Now, whether it's, okay, this game, your objective is just kill the commander. This game is just hold this point. And that's the whole thing. You're not playing over 4 or 5 different objectives, scoring victory points. It's literally, can you hold one objective in a certain place that's difficult to get to and easily defended? Go for it. And that becomes a story rather than just a game.
Yeah, that's what I love. When I see any mission, I would always go to the fluff part of it and see what's the idea behind it. And that just pulls me in, it makes me, okay, that can be interesting. Sometimes you can also see that community-made missions are more interesting and will have more fluff into it than the game designers that originally made the game would come up with, which is, I think it's an amazing time to be a wargamer because of that, because of the global community when they make missions.
The access of the internet has made it so much easier. We can just download a PDF and we can find a mission and we're all going to play this. That could be from any game mode, anything. And even within the community like the Meelas, we could just play amongst ourselves. And Invaden's done a campaign for us. And Roman's doing the Necromunda campaign. They're introducing it, and it's good to have a community for all of that as well.
When we get to play 2nd edition, going with a more narrative way of linking the games by starting off with a scenario. Let's say that there's a particular planet that something is happening and all these various forces are here. And then how do these forces meet? If somebody invades, for example, and then you work out the mission. What would that be? And then after that battle, then what happens? What would each army try and do? Would one try and drop back to their resources? Would one try and outflank? Would one try and cut the head off the opposition commander? What would you be trying to do? And then you play a mission based on one of those ideas. And then you play the next mission, they play the next mission, and you weave together Dawn of War campaign map as you go from territory to territory, doing certain things. And maybe you come back to the final territory for a 4v4 free-for-all. And that's the decider. And you've played 4 or 5 games. And that's suddenly the full story of what happened. And the winner of that game wins the planet. They get their goal achieved strategically.
Honestly, I think that's the beauty of having a game master in our midst.
Yeah.
That you always have.
Is used to doing that, yeah.
This is the first time I've heard of this. Literally, and it sounds really fun. This is news to me as well. So, yeah, I'll be as down as I possibly can for that.
As down as you possibly can be. Wow.
Yeah.
There's a vote of confidence. And this is how the Meelas helps. When you're a bit burnt out, you haven't got any ideas, somebody says something and you go, ooh, that sounds cool. I want to be part of that. So yeah, I think we've covered how to deal with burnout and different types of burnout as well, because we all burn out in different ways based on what we're doing. So if you've made it this far, we have a question for you, the listener. If you've ever had hobby burnout, what caused it and what helped you come back? Let us know in the comments. And while you're down there, a like or a subscribe would be really cool too, if you wouldn't mind. You made it this far after all. That's it for the Meelas podcast this week. Do please keep tagging our Instagram for your Blanchitsu inspired models at our profile, ad.wargaming. You can catch us on the Meelas podcast next time. We look forward to seeing you, whether it's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or more. Thank you, Ibrahim, for your thoughts and your time.
Thank you.
And thank you, Adam, for joining us again.
And again and again.
And we'll see you all in our next episode.
And don't forget to start new armies. Doesn't sound applicable for this episode.